Whew. Yeah. Rosa and the rest returned from the chapel to the parlor in the mansion. So many things had happened since early in the morning. Of course they were high-strung. Butler and George, who had cried, raged, and let their emotions explode after seeing their parents pretty much explode as well. Well, they didn't see them explode, but they saw them after... Whatever. Seeing their person's tragic bodies, returned to the parlor and sat in the sofas, dazed as though everything up until then had been a lie. Only Maria was completely unchanged. It looked just like normal. When she wasn't playing pranks, she was basically a kid who played wordlessly by herself. So even if she was dazed, she would probably look just as she did. But as she turned on the TV and flipped through the channels, it looked as though nothing about her had changed from normal. Did Rosa think anything in particular about this attitude, which was clearly different from normal people? She stared at Maria's back as though looking at something that wasn't quite heartwarming. Eventually, Kumasawa came to say good morning. Her cheerful banner was clearly out of place, and she couldn't help but be bewildered by the strange atmosphere in the room. Oh, she doesn't know? Oh, okay. Then, when she heard the details from Gouda, she reacted loudly with shock. Oh, of course you've contacted the police, right? What should we do in a time like this? Oh, what should we do? Please calm down and listen. It seems a machine somewhere was somehow done in by lightning last night. Because of that, we haven't been able to use the phones. What? Then until the typhoon passes, we can't even contact the police? Maybe Kumasawa's exaggerated surprise was a little comical. Breakfast's all made of mackerel. Please, no. Even in this kind of situation, Rosa giggled. Because of that, the fog of confusion that had covered her head cleared up a little. I've got to stay strong. It's not just Maria. I'm acting as a parent for George-kun and Batlakun too, so I have to stay strong. So now we're getting shotgun-wielding Rosa, I guess. Rosa had been the youngest sibling, with a large difference in age between her and the others. Or, I mean... Did it mention here? No, I think it was mentioned in the episode 1 tips, what the weapon actually was. But I just keep calling it a shotgun, even though it's not one. Rosa had been the youngest sibling, with a large difference in age between her and the others, so she had always been treated as a child. Every time she learned something new, it was something obvious to her siblings, and she had built up a complex, becoming convinced of her own incompetence. So she had developed a passive personality, asking her siblings for advice every time something happened. But she no longer had any brothers or sisters. Now Rosa was the only one of the 4 Ushiroma-Miya siblings left. Furthermore, if Kinzo continued to shut himself away even in this extraordinary situation, Rosa would have to surpass this crisis as the head's representative. I'm not a child anymore. Not a child. Rosa slapped her knees lightly and stood up. She must not wait for orders now. She had to start moving herself. She picked up the receiver of the extension phone on the side table. Then she immediately remembered that the phones were down. That's a great start. Time to get a rifle. Seriously, though. But I like how, like, I don't know, it's just funny how she gets all determined, and the very first thing she touches is something that doesn't actually work. I don't know if that's some foreshadowing to how the rest of whatever she's going to try is going to work out, but who knows. Maybe I'm just overthinking it. Genji and Shannon, whom she had sent to see Kinzo, hadn't returned yet. She had a good guess at what was going on. He was probably yelling something nonsensical again and becoming unmanageable. Yeah, big surprise. His precious chapel had been defiled with blood. That was easy to imagine. She had planned on using the extension phone to call the study, but unfortunately the phones were down. Rosa decided to go to the study directly, with her own 2 feet. Her old self would have been too frightened to go see Kinzo, and in fact if she did meet him, she would probably be blamed somehow, and insulted. But this was no time to be frightened. As his true daughter, she had to make him aware of the current situation. I still wonder if, like, remember, we never learned who her husband is. I'm still very, very suspicious of that. I'm still wondering if that's gonna somehow end up being a huge plot thing. Like, maybe her husband is the one who is going around here murdering everybody, and I don't know. Who knows? I mean, think about it this way. There even is a space here It's not left empty, and they didn't add another character. Like, if they had the space and wouldn't use it, they could have just introduced another character or something. But it's deliberately empty. I don't know. Or maybe that's just there to make me think this and throw me off, and actually it doesn't mean anything. We'll see. Someday. Kumasawa-san, I'm going to see father. Take special care of George-kun and Battler-kun. But, what? Special care of George and Battler, but I don't give a fuck about Maria. Is that what you're saying? I'm sure they're on edge right now. Yes, that may be true. It is truly pitiable. I shall make them something warm to drink. Like maybe mackerel tea. Thank you. Rosa went out into the hallway and headed towards Kinzo's study. The atmosphere in this mansion, which she'd spent her younger days in and should have been full of memories, seemed somehow different. She began to climb the stairs in the entrance hall. Uh-oh. Just then, in the faint darkness down the stairs behind Rosa's back, something glowed. Oh no, it was a single, fluttering gold butterfly. It fluttered around and sparkled. That butterfly danced about with a sound. It was only natural. No one can hear the sound of a butterfly's wings beating. And then, it came to a rest on Rosa's back as she slowly climbed the stairs. Uh-oh. Rosa didn't notice it. Oh, she's gonna bring fucking Beatrice right into Kinzo's chamber, isn't she? Or like a servant of her. If someone not in the know saw it, they'd probably assume it was just a single sheet of gold leaf in the shape of a butterfly that had been stuck there. Without noticing a thing, Rosa continued heading towards Kinzo's study. Okay. So, how will you entertain me with this next one? There are still many, many pieces left. I could ask you the same thing. How are you going to entertain us? Okay, one thing I want to check real quick. The next thing are like, why is this still red? So we have 6 have died, the 2 who are close are dead. We still need to get the whole praise my noble name thing. And then 5 more get killed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 more would get killed. I was just wondering how many are there in the study. It's gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe they're gonna go next. What's it? What fid? In the parlor, which had fallen silent again, the only sound was that of the TV that Maria was watching alone. If there was anything audible besides that, it was the sound of the rain, which had continued on and on since the previous night. Every one of those who had witnessed that unearthly and horrible scene stayed silent, as though praying that the events of that morning had all been a dream. Because Kumasawa alone hadn't seen it, her reaction was slightly different. Well, I mean, she's free to go and look at it, if she wants a genuine reaction. The silence itself seemed more unbearable to her, and she was anxious to encourage everyone somehow. However, she was aware that she must avoid saying anything careless, and she seemed to be pondering how she could be most helpful. Normally it would be time for breakfast. However, possibly because something so outrageous had happened, Goda seemed to have forgot to prepare a meal. Or maybe everyone was so beaten up that they'd forgotten their hunger. Kumasawa wanted to bring up the subject of what they should do for breakfast, but it didn't seem like the right atmosphere, so she really couldn't. So, after your parents have been brutally murdered, what would you like for breakfast? Yeah, that really doesn't sound all that appropriate, I gotta say. But she really was hungry, so she casually made a proposal. Seems everyone is tired after all that has happened. In times like this, I think the best thing is to heat yourself with some warm black tea. Indeed. Oh, he's down here? Okay, then it's not 5 people. I thought he was still up there. Kinzo is still up there, obviously. Genji was there earlier when he was doing the will thing, and she was. And now Rosa is going there. So it's 4 people. I thought it was 5. That would have fit. Indeed, that is an excellent plan. I agree as well. Ho ho ho, how about some delicious black tea with biscuits and jam? Oh yes, I hear Halloween will be... I guess nobody told her what exactly the murder scene looked like. I mean, it's fucked up. she just, oh man, that's not gonna go down well with the others. It's horrible. This is so bad. Oh man. I don't even dare to click. Halloween will be here soon, and we have some delicious looking pumpkin shaped cookies on the shelf. They are very red. Kumasawa-san, that's... Yeah, of course she had said the wrong thing. She had reminded Battler and the rest about that horrible and tragic Halloween party in the chapel. Nanjo hurriedly whispered into Kumasawa's ear. Battler-san, I am so sorry. I didn't mean to upset you, truly I didn't. Don't worry about it. I'll definitely turn this boiling anger back on the culprit. I wonder if that culprit is still on the island. Probably. At least until the typhoon passes, no boat will come. Yes, that is true. After all, the boats stop coming even when it's just a little windy. They certainly wouldn't come during a typhoon, yes. It creeps me out. Oh, hi Sven. Na, wie geht's? You think so, Aniki? Me too. And that's even putting aside whether the culprit's that mystery guest or not. Indeed, we've naturally suspected the mysterious guest who calls herself Beatrice, but we still cannot be certain she's the culprit. I'm guessing this is George now. Also enjoy Subnautica. Subnautica is a great game. I think this is George now, because you replied to Battler. Indeed, we've naturally suspected the mysterious guest who calls herself Beatrice, we still cannot be certain she's the culprit. Also, I love this song. There's still the possibility she's a victim whose corpse still hasn't been found. When I think of it that way, there's something I just can't understand. What do you mean by that? It's simple. It's just like Kumasawa-bachan said a short while ago. Right now, this island is right in the middle of a typhoon, and escape is impossible. The same thing goes for the culprit. In that case, having the crime come to light should have been the thing the culprit wanted to avoid most. I see. So there was no need to draw that creepy magic circle on the entrance to the chapel and show off the fact that the corpses were there. Yeah, that's it. And if they were able to take the time and effort to do something so horrible to those 6 people, it should have been possible for them to hide the 6 corpses where they'd been possible to find. I agree. That brutal Halloween party probably wasn't directed at those who died. It was directed at the people who would eventually discover it, us. It's probably safe to say that the magic circle was there to help us find it. The song is so creepy. The culprit knows they won't be able to escape from this island for a while, and yet they acted as though they wanted to make us find the corpses in the middle of this typhoon. What does it mean? If I were the culprit, I definitely wouldn't play around and make us find the bodies. Beatrice-sama was not in her room, and the room did not seem particularly disturbed. No, Milady did disturb it quite a lot though, yeah, that's true. Come to think of it, what happened to Jessica? Oh, you don't want to know. We already know. Kanon-san is looking after her. Yeah, I think Kanon-san is splattered all over the floor. As is Jessica. They are probably in Milady's room. That much is true. That isn't good. The culprit is definitely still on the island. In this situation, I don't believe it's a very good idea to isolate ourselves in small numbers. What do you mean by that? You don't mean to say that the culprit plans to kill all of us? Well, not all of us, but you probably definitely. Let us remain calm. That is not yet certain. But unfortunately, we can't deny that the possibility exists. Only you. 5 times. This letter was in the chapel. According to this letter, the culprit is the witch, and if we don't solve the riddle of grandfather's epitaph and find the gold, they'll massacre the whole family, or something like that. Is that true? Would you allow me to read it as well? As they read the witch's letter, Goda, Kumasawa, and Nanjo's faces grew even paler than they had been. Kumasawa could no longer hide her shaking. It's probably Kumasawa is behind everything and she just pretends to be shaking and all that. She's the least suspicious most of the time, so wouldn't it be awesome if it was her? If you don't want to die, try finding grandfather's hidden gold. Is that it? Screwing around with us. I'll bet she can't solve the riddle, so she's trying to make us solve it. However, I wonder what the truth is. It was me, Dio. Madame always stated that the legend of the gold was nothing more than an illusion created by the master. It is doubtful whether it actually existed. Oh, I'm not sure who said that. True, supposedly they thought it would be nice if it did exist, but only half believed it. The relatives started believing the legend of the gold only after Kinzo's health worsened and the inheritance problem came up. Until then, hardly anyone believed in it, I understand. So maybe that's why. Do you remember? On the table in the chapel, there were 3 gold ingots. That alone would be worth quite a lot. Doesn't that prove that the legend of the gold was real?
Excuse me, please wait. Just now, did you say there were 3 gold bars?
Yeah, there were definitely 3 of them piled up.
Excuse me, I have an errand to run in the chapel.
So what?
I happened to hear Klaus Summer say something once.
He probably had 3. And they just used those, and the gold doesn't actually exist.
Yes, I just happened to hear it, you see. It's not like I was trying to listen in on secret discussions, no indeed.
Don't worry about that now. So, then what? Is there something wrong with there being 3 of those gold bars?
Yes, according to Klaus Summer, there was only 1 bar ever found to support the legend of the gold.
True. In episode 1, when he showed a gold bar to Natsuhi, it was only 1.
That is correct. I believe Kinzo-san showed the president of Maruso a mountain of gold and let him take 1 bar back with him, or so the story goes.
That 1 bar came to be in Klaus Summer's possession, and he said that no other gold supporting the master's legend of the gold existed.
Well, it's 3 now. Where's the problem? Yeah, exactly. You're talking about Uncle Klaus here? So what does that mean? No, wait, 3? Wait, where did they come from? That's too many, right?
Perhaps there is another explanation. Maybe their other relatives also found 1 each, and they each brought 1 of them there. No, I cannot believe that. When all of the relatives came to the mansion, I was entrusted with their luggage. I did not feel a suspicious weight back then.
Yeah, gold is heavy as fuck. You would definitely notice that. I think those would weigh about 10 kilograms. If that much weight was in their bags, even I would notice. But it didn't seem that way. Same here. At the most, there were some changes of clothes, the first aid kit, Kiryu-san's makeup. That's probably the heaviest thing. Stuff like that, I think. Aunt Rosa's luggage also looked pretty light. In that case, those 3 piled up gold bars were being shown to them, or maybe to us. The legend of the gold is definitely real. It isn't an illusion. They're telling us to try and find out the secret if we can.
Could they be scheming to have us solve the epitaph which points to where the gold is hidden, and then try to snatch it away?
You mean it was like... like chocolate, this kind of chocolate that is in gold? Paper? I wouldn't mind 10 kilograms of chocolate. Wouldn't eat all of it at once though. Yeah, that does make some sense. But there are a couple parts that don't fit. To start, our parents, who should have been the most likely to solve the epitaph, were killed first. That seems to create a contradiction right off the bat to me. True that. And something else makes even less sense. If the legend of the gold is actually true, then how were they able to pile up all that gold? It's almost like the culprit has already found the gold, and is telling us to try and find it too. Maybe the culprit found those 3 like Uncle Klaus did. Maybe that convinced them that the legend is true and they're trying to make a search for the rest. I think that way fits the best. The pieces on the chessboard aren't lined up at all. We don't have a clue what the culprit is planning, what they want, or what they want to make us do. Is there any point? No matter what we think, is there anything we can figure out right now?
It was written down. What you wanted to make us do? Couldn't anyone read it?
Maria suddenly laughed in a creepy voice. I thought she'd been concentrating on the TV, but apparently she'd been listening in too. Without turning away from the TV, she very simply told us what we were forgetting.
Beatrice hasn't said once that she wants the gold. All she's asking is whether you are capable of solving the epitaph riddle or not. Though I'll bet she's pretty sure you could never do it.
So, are you saying you can solve it, Maria?
I don't care. After all, she'll take me to the Golden Land, so I won't get in Beatrice's way. Yeah.
In any case, it looks like we'll have to ask Maria if we want to learn anything more. Maria, tell us. Who is this Beatrice? What is she planning?
You know Beatrice is a witch. She can do anything with her strange powers. The power of magic can do anything. It can even create gold or bread. And of course it can create sweets too, right? You saw, didn't you?
Holy shit, that actually scared me. At that time, everyone jumped at the sound of a door being slammed shut. When we turned around, we saw that Rosa had suddenly returned, bringing Genji and Shannon. Then she rapidly approached Maria, her heels squeaking, and hit her on the cheek. Holy, not again. Stop talking about that. Batlakun and the rest will take it badly. Without waiting for a response, she hit Maria's cheek once more. Everyone could only stand there stunned. I don't know what "oo" means. What about yes? She mercilessly hit Maria's cheek again. Maybe Maria didn't feel like resisting after being hit twice. She weakly said yes.
Rosa-san, there's no reason to be so harsh.
Just 20 more times for good measure. Just like the old times.
This is my daughter's education.
Not sure I would call that education, but sure.
Do not interrupt.
The atmosphere around Rosa, with Genji and Shannon standing at attention behind her, was somehow cold and yet dignified, completely different from how she had seemed before she left. She was holding something that looked like a gun. Oh, here we go. I couldn't imagine that she'd be holding a toy in this situation.
Aunt Rosa, what is...
Oh, damn. I was right. We're gonna get shotgun or rifle-wielding Rosa now.
This is father's. Because of the current situation, I borrowed it specially. Everyone,
shut the fuck up.
Everyone should understand. The culprit is still nearby. We don't know what might happen.
I agree. Rather than trying to figure out what the culprit is planning, it might be better to first think about our own safety.
Father was fine, but he was considerably shaken by these sudden events.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I would call that shaken. When we saw him earlier, he didn't give a fuck.
Fortunately, he said he won't leave his room, so he should be safe.
Yeah, also not sure about that after you brought the butterfly there.
For now, we should all try to stay together as much as possible.
I agree. We don't even know where the culprit's hiding, and after all, there's no proof that there's only one of them. Even though... yeah, exactly. Even though I'd said it myself, I shivered. That's right. Could a single person kill 6 people and set up such a horrible scene all alone? Isn't it natural to assume that this crime was carried out by multiple culprits?
I agree with Rosa-san. It probably is good for us to stay together.
Yes, I think it's good too. Yes.
Maybe it's about time we called for Milady and Kanon-san.
Yeah, about that. That's right. Let's have them come down. George Aniki tried to grab the extension phone. Doesn't work. When will you learn that? God damn it. But Goda-san shook his head. That's right, the phones are down right now, aren't they? I'll go with a couple people. Busy being dead. If George Aniki and Goda-san come too, that should be enough.
No, let's all go together. It's a wolves and sheep puzzle.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Though, I mean, you sure know. I'm sure you all know the wolves and sheep puzzle.
If we're in balance while gathered together like this, then maintaining the situation will be safest.
A wolves and sheep puzzle? Come on, don't tell me you don't know that.
Oh, I've got it. I'll show you. Maria, turn off the television. Genji-san, please tell me where Jessica-chan's room is. Let's all go together.
Yes, I will guide you.
I like how Maria was like, I'll show you, and Rosa just completely ignored it.
Come on, everyone. We'll move together. Follow my instructions.
We stood up. Maria alone looked like she had some regrets about the TV, but she decided to go along with everyone for now and got up. We probably need her, so she can tell us about the next magic circle again.
Shannon, thank goodness. I was a bit worried when you took so long to get back. I'm sorry to have worried you. The master ordered me to transcribe something for him, and it was like 749 pages.
Transcribe?
Shannon.
I am sorry, excuse me.
We headed for Jessica's room with the armed aRdW and Genji-san in the lead. Jessica and Kanon-kun were a boy and a girl of about the same age. It'd sure be a shame if we barged in on them at a bad time. Or at least, that's what we'd been joking about normally. However, aRdW was on edge, constantly exuding a sense of tension.
The transcript reads as follows. I don't give a single fuck. Kinzo, you can all go to hell.
So it definitely wasn't the sort of atmosphere for careless remarks like that.
Hey, don't fall behind. Everyone, move together. We don't know when or where the culprit might leap out at us, right?
No, maybe aRdW's attitude was more appropriate. Since the grandfather hadn't come down, aRdW was our leader. This wasn't a situation where she could smile like she always did. And aRdW was a mother too. She probably also thought that if she didn't get a hold of herself, some harm might befall her beloved daughter. The culprit had killed 6 of her parents at once. The method they had used was unknown, but there was a good chance this opponent could take down a large number of people in a flash. Would that be with weapons, or with the numbers, or with the magic of a witch? In any case, I couldn't think of any reason why it'd be okay to let our guards down. The rest of us had better take much, much greater care, just like aRdW. Oh, damn. Everyone, stop. Ba-bam! aRdW spoke in a sharp voice. Wondering what this was all about, we peered forwards, and immediately realized the reason. Yep. It's this thing again, huh?
What is this?
Beep! Everyone get back. Gora-san and Genji-san approached the door. Beyond this door was probably Jessica's room. Are we gonna find them? Okay, first of all, we're probably just gonna find Jessica and not Kanon, since she made him disappear or something. But I'm also wondering if she has been further mutilated, or if she just has a hole in her back. Gora-san and Genji-san approached the door. Beyond this door was probably Jessica's room.
This seems to be the same paint that was scribbled on the door to the chapel. It appears so. It seems not much time has passed since it was drawn.
What the heck? Is that another magic circle?
It's the first magic circle of the moon. It has the power to open unopening doors.
Drawn on the door to Jessica's room was the same kind of creepy scribble that had been drawn on the door to the chapel. That strange pattern must have had some occult meaning, but it didn't matter what the meaning was. We were worried about whether those two were okay.
That doesn't matter. Are Jessica-chan and Kanon-kun safe? This does not bode well. We should quickly bring those two downstairs. Milady, are you there? Please answer.
Gora-san knocked violently and yelled, but there was no answer. He gripped the doorknob with a clatter, but the lock just resisted him.
Rosa-sama, it seems to be locked.
There's no helping it. Please open it up.
Genji nodded, and Gora quickly unlocked the door with a master key. In the back of my mind, horrible images floated up and disappeared, one after another. A magic circle had been drawn on the door to the chapel. Behind that lay 6 corpses. So if there's a magic circle drawn on the door to Jessica's room, then beyond it must be...
It's Jessica-sama. What happened? Is she there? Jessica, what happened?
It was truly heartless. The expression on Gora's son's face and his cry as he opened the door prepared us for the brutal fate that Jessica had met even before we saw her. Everyone rushed into Jessica's room at once. That scene told everyone that their worst fears were spot on.
Jessica! Oh, horrible! It's Dr. Nanjo!
Inside the room, which seemed elegant for the bedroom of one so young, Jessica lay crumpled on the ground. No. Found in her own room in the mansion with a weapon shaped like a stake rammed into her back. Finally, at the very end, she got to be with the person she loved. She must have been happy. There was a large pool of blood on the floor, and there was a knife or something sticking deep into her back. Was it a knife? There was a design on the handle that just had to symbolize something demonic. It had to be a weapon with some kind of occult meaning.
This is horrible. She has passed away. This probably reached her lungs. Not much time has passed since she died.
Jessica! Damn it. Better somehow.
I was naive. I knew it. Since the culprit couldn't escape the island, they were definitely close by. So why didn't I get cautious sooner? I was naive. I just assumed that the culprit would commit their crime and then just sneak away and hide. We were stunned then. We thought Jessica-chan giving into rage and running off was just something that couldn't be helped. But we were naive. We should have stopped her. Goda-san, why did you leave those two alone? If only you had been with them, something like this. No, that is, I said it was dangerous, so we should return. It's just that Milady said she wanted to be alone. Kanon-san told me to leave it to him, and... Speaking of which, where is Kanon-san?
Man, I feel bad for Goda now. Didn't think that day would come. Also, did Beatrice, like, spirit Kanon's body away so everybody is gonna would think that Kanon was the murderer?
That's right. What in the world happened to Kanon-kun? Kanon-kun, where...
I heard that. Which servant Kanon, the witch erased his corpse for fun. That alone caused an incredible uneasiness among the survivors. If that which exists resides in the human world, then that which does not exist is truly fantasy. Fantasy takes the form of what they fear. The hell is that supposed to mean? I don't understand it. All I can say is that this music is still very beautiful.
Kanon-san should have been with Milady. Where in the world did he go?
You don't think they got him?
Quiet. Someone might be hiding in this room. Search under the bed and in the closet.
There was a chance that Kanon-kun's corpse had been pushed away somewhere. At Rosa-san's order, everyone searched throughout the room together, but there wasn't a single human hiding anywhere.
He's nowhere. Could the culprit have taken him out of the room? Then we'll have to search for him quickly and save him. If we're slow, something awful might happen. Aunt Rosa, let's search all over the mansion. Let's search for the culprit. And let's save Kanon-kun. Quiet.
Oh. When Aunt Rosa yelled at us, we fell instantly silent. She was probably contemplating something. However, what in the world could that be? Aunt Rosa walked around the room as though looking for something, or as though she was collecting her thoughts. I'm pretty sure it's going to be hard to collect your thoughts in a situation like this, but... Well, then she found something on the side table by the bed and picked it up.
If anyone knows, tell me. Which key is this?
Huh? Aunt Rosa showed everyone a key with a cute mascot attached to it. Judging from its cute appearance, I didn't doubt that it was Jessica's key, but I had no way of knowing for sure.
It is probably the key to this room, to Milady's room.
Oh, another fucking closed room mystery. Come on. This is getting old, Beatrice. Think of something new. I don't even know why I keep saving. After hearing that, Aunt Rosa made a point of going outside the door and checking. Without a doubt, it was the key to this room.
I wonder why it was set in a place like this. Wouldn't you normally keep such an important key in your pocket? Milady wasn't in the habit of locking her room. It seems she would only do it when she went to school, because she didn't want someone like Klaus-sama to look inside her room. I see. She wasn't at school, so it's natural that Jessica-chan would set the key down here. How many keys can open this door?
Just the one Milady had. Again. Can't you... Why do you have to have only one key of everything, goddammit? The microphone is a bit far down. I have to... Like, my neck hurts a bit. Can't it be opened with your master keys?
They can open it. How many master keys are there? Are all of the servants holding them? Are there extras? Yes, we all have one. As for extras, I wonder. There used to be several, but Madame scolded us harshly, saying that was careless, so they should have been dealt with. That is correct. There's only one held by each servant. There are no more.
Now what? Wait a second. I think we talked about extra master keys in the last game, right?
Indeed. Well, regarding that, I have noticed that having several master keys whose locations are unknown is quite as advantageous for me.
That's probably right. Since you want to make me believe in magic using closed rooms, it'd really hurt you if there were more master keys than we thought. After all, every time a trick involving locks shows up, I plan to resist by arguing that the culprit had a master key that someone lost in the past or a duplicate.
Yes, that's correct. So I've decided to make a move to defeat that. I'll update our setting. The only master keys are the ones held by the servants, 1 key each.
Messing with me. More importantly, what kind of move is this? What's Aunt Rosa talking about?
Who knows? You should try listening in. Thank you. I have the situation sorted out. And I've been able to pinpoint the culprit who assaulted Jessica-chan, or at least one of her accomplices.
What did you say? Who is it?
Aunt Rosa, you don't mean Kanon-kun, do you? Huh? What? Why Kanon-kun? This room was locked, and the only keys that can unlock it are the master keys held by each servant, and the key Jessica had. But Jessica-chan's key was closed up in here, which means it's only possible that one of the master keys locked this room up.
It is as you say.
In that case, someone killed Jessica, then locked the door. That person had a master key, and there are only 5 people with master keys.
Oh my, it was me, not me. Oh no, I could never do such a thing.
Kumasawa-san got up late. After we returned from the chapel to the parlor, we did meet you there. But it's impossible to prove for you where and what you were doing until that time. You watched us from the shadows, chased after Jessica-chan and Kanon-kun when they were isolated, and stealthily attacked them.
Are you saying I visited Milady's room and did something so horrible? I did no such thing. Yes, no such thing.
What about you, Goda-san? You said you left Jessica-chan in Kanon-kun's care and returned. But I wonder if that is true. Maybe you actually killed the 2 of them, hid Kanon-kun's corpse, and then came back with an innocent look on your face.
Nothing of the sort happened. I Goda swear that I did not do anything like that.
It wasn't us. We were following the master's orders and... Yes, you and Genji-san alone are clean. That's backed up by what I heard from Father. The 2 of you were in Father's room the whole time, transcribing and witnessing for him. Father and I can guarantee that.
Thank you very much.
In that case, the argument becomes who is more suspicious, Goda-san or Kumasawa-san. I thought that myself right after entering this room, but still I found it strange. Look at the state of Jessica-chan's body. Doesn't everyone think it's strange?
Strange, you say?
Jessica-chan was struck in the back. Come on, they say it all the time, right? That in crimes where the victim is struck in the back, there's a high likelihood that the culprit was someone whose face was known to the victim. She definitely wouldn't invite a person she didn't trust into her room and defenselessly expose her back. Oh, Rosa-sama, you don't mean to say that was Kanon-kun, do you? I do. We're all fully aware of the state Jessica-san was in right before she was killed. After seeing her parents' tragic bodies, Jessica-chan was very panicked. It's easy to imagine that after she regained her composure, she'd be in a horrible slump. It would be very understandable if Jessica's frame of mind led her to shut herself up alone in her room. And those particulars match with Goda's-san's story. Jessica-chan said to leave her alone. Then Kanon-kun, who is of a similar age, and who may have some adolescent relationship with her, said to leave this matter in his hands. That feeling is also very understandable. So for that reason, I think Jessica-chan welcomed Kanon-kun into her room. But what if it had been Goda-san or Kumasawa-san? Would she ever let them into her room?
I believe that I have gained Milady's trust, but even so...
Oh, then I guess you're still a suspect after all, and she puts the gun up again. I assume Jessica-chan probably didn't like you very much, so I didn't think she would have let you into her room. I was convinced that you couldn't possibly be the culprit, but maybe I was mistaken.
No, I am sad to say that I may not have been accepted by Milady. What about you, Kumasawa-san?
We are far too separated by age to understand the feelings of a young person like Milady very well, and for the same reason perhaps Milady never opened up her heart to us. Right, Gora-san?
Yes, that's right. It would have been quite difficult for her to open her heart to the likes of us, and it would be inconceivable for Milady to let us into her room when she was grieving.
Goda-san and Kumasawa-chan each rubbed their hands together, affirming each other with forced smiles on their faces. It was a truly unpleasant rondo.
So it was a person who might be allowed to enter Jessica-chan's room while she was grieving. A person who might have been given access to her defenseless back
and who had a master key that only points to one suspect. It was impossible for anyone except Kanon-kun.
But please wait. Kanon-kun definitely wouldn't do something like...
Oh, then is there someone else? Is Gura-san or Kumasawa-san suspicious after all? Who do you think is more suspicious, Shannon-chan? Come on. I'm not sure if Rosa is fit for the task of leading everybody. She seems a bit unstable.
I could never... It wasn't me, Shannon-san. Yes, it was not me.
Of course it wasn't me either. The ones who had close relationships with Milady were Kanon-san, and after him, you, right?
Yeah, isn't that right? Jessica-chan might also let Shannon-chan into her room. You were supposedly with father, but in reality, could you be the culprit? Shannon couldn't be the culprit. Just to be sure, she's gonna shoot Gouda. Didn't you just say she was doing some important work with grandfather? Yes, I know. Neither Shannon-chan nor Genji-san is the culprit. Father confirmed that they were together the whole time. Well then, what do you think, everyone? After being told that, no one could respond. Even if someone did manage to argue back, they'd then have to offer the name of a different suspect. And no matter who that suspect was, it would have to be someone right here. No one could do something like that. Aunt Rosa glanced at everyone in turn, fingering the gun like it was a toy. She seemed so different from the kind Aunt Rosa I knew. No, it's probably because I'm not fully aware of the danger we are in. Maybe Aunt Rosa's attitude would seem natural if I could truly sense the peril surrounding us. It looks like no one has an opinion. Then I'll give you mine. Of course, I can't deny the possibility that Kanon-kun is a victim without a corpse, but until we find that corpse, I certainly can't rule Kanon-kun out as a suspect. There's a chance he'll suddenly appear again, claiming to have been attacked by the culprit and confined somewhere. But take care. Most likely, no, there's no doubt about it, Kanon-kun killed Jessica-chan. No, that's not true.
No way. I can't believe it. Kanon did that to my lady. It's too much.
I feel the same as Shannon. I'm opposed to labeling Kanon-kun as the culprit.
Then is the culprit Gora-san or Kumasawa-san?
Do you hear that in the background? Isn't that like the typical Beatrice sound? Tell me who's more suspicious.
Where was Nas?
If it wasn't Kanon-kun, then who could have locked this door? How about it, Shannon-chan? George-kun? Huh? Are we gonna get a Maria moment again? Where she's gonna be like, well, the magic circle actually... Aunt Rosa closed in on Shannon-chan and George Aniki, laughing unpleasantly. Of course they couldn't say anything back. They wanted to believe in Kanon-kun, but if they did, they'd have to suspect the other servants. The simplest culprit was the mystery guest, Beatrice, but she was nothing more than a guest and didn't have a master key. So if Beatrice is the culprit, despite lacking a master key, then do we have to accept the argument that she really is a witch who locked the door with the power of magic? That's a dirty argument. Dirty. So dirty.
What are you worried about? Make it my fault. You can just make it the fault of the 90th person, the mystery guest, right? If you do, you won't have to watch this ugly battle of humans blaming each other, right?
So then what? The culprit is the 90th person, the guest Beatrice. She's a witch, so she could lock the door without a key using magic. Are you telling me to accept that? Damn it. Damn it, damn it.
Yeah, in the last game I learned all your weak points. So what will you do? What will you do? You said you definitely wouldn't accept me, right? Then you can use Kanon as the perfect sacrifice he is. Kanon killed Jessica. If you support Rosa's theory, everything is settled here, right? Kanon is already dead. There should be no need to show concern for the dead, and you won't have to suspect anyone in this room.
Damn it, I won't accept you. But Kanon-kun being the culprit is impossible.
I don't want to suspect anyone. However, at times this no smoke without fire turns out to be true. Anyway, you can never be too cautious.
Dr. Nanjo, what do you mean by that?
Please do not misunderstand. I do not wish to label Kanon-san as the culprit. However, until we understand the situation, there's a possibility that he is the culprit, and I believe thinking that way is safer.
No, yes, that's right. You cannot be too cautious.
The general consensus certainly didn't seem to find fault with Nanjo for what he said. True, no one actually thought Kana was the culprit, but unless they suspected him, they'd have to suspect one of the servants here. We didn't want to do that. We didn't want to suspect. We didn't want to be suspected.
That's correct.
We cannot be too vigilant. I take it no one objects to that, right? Understand? There's a very high likelihood that these murders are connected to Father's legend of the gold. That means the crime must have been plotted by someone who wants to keep a vast amount of gold, worth several 10 billion yen, all for themselves. With that kind of money, you could play around with the rest of your life in any country. And with a motivation like that, they might even intend to kill all of us. Oh? Because she didn't have a master key, the 90th person, the guest Beatrice, is removed from suspicion for the murder of Jessica-chan alone. I think Maria looks like she's about to say something. But we cannot conclude that she's unrelated to the crime. After all, it's a vast amount of gold we're talking about. We can't deny the possibility that there are multiple culprits. Right now, one of the people here among us might have been bought by the culprit. As Aunt Rosa yelled, she looked all around, her gun still raised. Don't believe anyone. Suspect the person next to you. That's what she was saying. But no one wanted to suspect. They didn't want to suspect anyone here. That weakness in their hearts demanded an answer from those not present. There are only two ways you can be sure someone isn't a suspect. If it's yourself, or if they're already no more than a corpse. The same goes for Kanon-kun.
Until we catch sight of his corpse, he's the most likely suspect in Jessica-chan's murder. So take care. Even if he's still alive, even if he smoothes things over with some explanation, you definitely mustn't trust him. Got it?
No one gave an answer of their own initiative. However, those who met Aunt Rose's eyes had to nod their heads. Humans are beings who live by molding themselves to fit society. In other words, from the time they were born, trusting each other is genetically imprinted on them. It's unpleasant to go against that. They never want to suspect someone, but if they're forced to suspect someone, they find it safest to choose someone who isn't present at that moment. For the purpose of safety and nothing more, they half-heartedly chose Kanon to be the sacrifice. That's ridiculous. I definitely don't want to believe that Kanon-kun is the culprit. I heard it from George Aniki just now, but not only were those two close in age, they also had that kind of adolescent relationship Aunt Rosa had mentioned. It may be a little late now, but yes, they really did have that kind of air about them. After seeing her parents' tragic corpses, Jessica, bearing deep wounds in her heart, would only have trusted Kanon-kun. It was very easy to imagine, and that's why I don't like it. Kanon-kun was the only one she trusted, so she wouldn't have let anyone but Kanon-kun in. So Kanon-kun was the only one who could have killed Jessica? I just can't accept that kind of argument.
Understand? Even if Kanon-kun appears, don't let your guards down. As long as we cannot prove Kanon-kun's innocence, we will assume that Kanon-kun is the culprit who killed Jessica-chan.
That was Aunt Rosa's claim. By using the vague word assume, she managed to convince everyone in the end. Everyone nodded weakly, and with the excuse that they were just assuming it for the time being, they concluded that Kanon was the culprit who had killed Jessica. I wonder what the dead Jessica and Kanon would think if they could hear this exchange. Jessica was crying. He was crying into the chest of the person who had put his life on the line to fight for her, Kanon. It was frustrating. So frustrating that it felt like her chest would explode. She grieved and resented how far the dignity of the dead had been trampled.
How can those guys treat Kanon like the culprit?
Because there's no corpse.
How can they treat you like the culprit just because there's no corpse? You risked your life to fight for me. Right? Then that witch erased the corpse for fun. For them to call you the culprit after that, it's horrible. It's too horrible.
It's okay. I wasn't able to protect you in the end. But I was able to be of use to you in our final minutes.
Why doesn't everyone understand that? Stop it, Aunt Rosa. Don't call Kanon-kun the culprit with that messed up logic.
She isn't saying I'm the culprit. She's just saying I'm suspicious. No, she's saying to be careful.
She is saying it. These people are saying you're the culprit so they can stop thinking.
They aren't thinking about who the culprit who killed me is anymore.
They aren't thinking of the possibility that you aren't the culprit. And after this, every time something happens, they use the excuse that Kanon did it, since we don't know where he is. I can't stand that.
It's okay. At least you know the truth.
If only I know the truth, that's pointless.
I know it after dying.
Truth belongs to living humans. If the truth doesn't remain, the dead won't be rewarded. They won't know what Kanon risked his life for.
Truly a splendid sight. You hardly ever find a sweeter honey than the laments of the dead. Lament, lament, lament. No matter how much you lament, the voices of the dead never reach the living.
Damn it. It doesn't matter who. Hear my voice. Kanon isn't the culprit. Kanon's corpse was just erased. Why? Why don't you understand that?
Milady,
I can't stand this. It's too sad. I hate it. That's why it's like Kanon died for nothing, right? The honor of the dead means nothing unless it's acknowledged by the living. Doesn't matter who. Notice it, please. Kanon-kun isn't the culprit. Don't go, everyone. Please don't let it end like this. Don't go.
Rosa announced that this room would be sealed until the police came. The rest didn't want to suspect each other, so they happily accepted that. For now, they accepted that Kanon was the culprit. Without even imagining how much disgrace that would give to the dead, they accepted it. Milady, you've done enough. Thank you.
Don't go, everyone. I'm begging you, come back. Don't leave us behind like this. Don't keep treating Kanon as the culprit.
It won't reach. The laments of the dead never reach. You make me laugh. Yes, that face of yours makes me laugh. Did you think your voice would reach them? It won't reach, will it, Jessica? It's all useless. Oh, damn, Battler. Battler to the rescue.